What up, motherfucks? It's your boy, the Hater, and this video is gonna be like part one of a multiple part video that analyzes, amongst other things, Damian Priest. He's gonna be the subject of this video, even though this particular video is gonna be more about the concept of the Money in the Bank and how it is a failed concept at this point. Now, the Money in the Bank is a legitimate idea. It's one of the best ideas to ever come out of wrestling, in my opinion. It really creates a tremendous opportunity for someone to complete their push. The key word here is complete their push. Do you understand me? The Money in the Bank should not be the push. It should be the last phase of the push. You see what I'm saying? If there is no one in a particular year that deserves a push, in my opinion, the Money in the Bank should be used the way it was used with Otis, right? Where Otis wins it, it's a throwaway match, and The Miz takes it from Otis. And The Miz uses it to have a second title reign, right? Without that, motherfucks, without that, there is no reason to use the Money in the Bank the way that it's been used these last few years. At the end of the day, Damian Priest, up until WrestleMania, was a tag team jobber. And he was a tag team jobber who essentially, you can call it however you want. He lost 2 ladder matches in one night. One to Miz and R-Truth, and the other one to A-Town Down Under, right? Which is one of the dumbest tag teams of all time. It's like these guys should both be fired. It's obviously not working out. Let's be real. But anyways, besides that, let's get to the actual reality of how Damian Priest's Money in the Bank has been a complete disaster. First of all, he's got no push whatsoever in his entire career, right? Never has it been seriously suggested that Damian Priest is some sort of main eventer, right? He's never main evented anything. So with that being said, that's already one tick mark against his ass. Then we've got the fact that he wins the Money in the Bank in a bitch way. Now, that's whatever, but there is a difference. There's a difference between, I don't know, how Seth Rollins used the Money in the Bank, or even how Edge used the Money in the Bank, and how Damian Priest did it, right? Damian Priest came and attacked a Drew McIntyre who had been destroyed by CM Punk. Then he beat him with a case. Then he hit his finisher, right? Not like when Edge just came in and, Cena just had a tough match, but it is what it is. This is what the contract does. Or when Seth Rollins did it, where he just converted the match to a triple threat match. You see what I'm saying? That was tight. Both of those were great cash-ins. But it wasn't just the fact that they won the match in a somewhat more fair way, right? Both Seth Rollins and Edge were ready or quasi-ready to complete their pushes. First, Seth Rollins, we're talking like months before that, right? Right before he betrayed the Shield, he and the other members of the Shield beat Evolution in the main event of a pay-per-view. Beyond this, the Shield had been beating everybody for years. And they weren't beating, it wasn't like the Shield versus 3MB. It was the Shield versus like Daniel Bryan, Cena, and Sheamus, who were all main eventers, and the Shield was beating them. So the push was already there, right? Then Seth Rollins turns on the Shield, and this completes the push. He becomes Triple H's boy, and this leads to a WrestleMania match between him and Randy Orton. Now, granted, he lost that match, but it doesn't matter because it was to a prime Randy Orton. You see what I'm saying? So, with all that being said, it is what it is, but let's be real. The facts are that Seth Rollins was at the tail end of his push, right? He was already a legit main eventer. Like, if the next main event after that was Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns, nobody would bat an eyelash. I'd be like, okay, like, he's getting ready for the main event. Now, later on, Seth Rollins would go on and revert to being a mid-card jobber after, like, his first title reign was great. Then after that, he was just a mid-carder, and he has been since, you know? But that's neither here nor there. Let's look at Edge, right? People don't remember, but Edge had the Money in the Bank for like a whole year or two, right? For like 9 months. And then what happened was Edge, during that 1 year, Edge was converting from a mid-carder to a main eventer, right? He was feuding with people like Benoit, who were former champions. He was feuding with people like Kane, who were former champions. He was feuding with people like Cena, who were the current champion. In fact, Edge earned himself, right, a WWE title opportunity beyond the Money in the Bank. Like, while he was Money in the Bank, he earned himself a new opportunity. Do you understand what I'm saying? With all that being said, the truth is that Edge was ready, and they made sure that he was ready. So when he cashes in the Money in the Bank, there is no doubt that Edge is a legitimate champion. Now, they, of course, chose to then give the title back to Cena, but that's neither here nor there. That doesn't change anything. The fact is what the fact is. And the fact says, Cucks, that for better or for worse, the way that the Money in the Bank was used in the past was legit, right? It did not serve as a substitute to a push like it is for Damian Priest, right? Damian Priest wrestled Jey Uso, who I understand, like, whether I like it or not, they're trying to push Jey Uso as like a serious, singles wrestler. So, ta-da, motherfucks, here it is. But despite this, right, Damian Priest needed help, and why wouldn't he, right, from Judgment Day to be able to defeat Jey Uso. Now, what's the logic behind this? Well, I'll tell you. The logic behind it is actually quite simple, right? Damian Priest is a tag team jobber, and there's absolutely no reason to think that Damian Priest is on the same level as anybody else who has sniffed the main event, right? He hasn't been booked that way. He's been booked as just another guy in Judgment Day, and all of a sudden he's the leader. I mean, why wasn't he the leader before? Is it because he cashed in? Why does that make him the leader? He didn't win this, like, epic match to become champion, right? So, Damian Priest's title reign is automatically compromised, if you ask me, right? Now, this can be rehabilitated, and that's going to be probably the focus of our second Damian Priest video, which comes later at some point, Cucks. He can be rehabilitated by winning meaningful matches. I'll give you a good example, right? This didn't work out in the long term, but the idea made sense at the time. Some random throwaway match, right? At WrestleMania. I think it was Edge versus Jericho for the World Heavyweight title. Jericho wins. He wins the feud as a result after Edge won the Royal Rumble, right? Maybe they needed Jericho to get out of there anyways. And the next night, Jericho gets cashed in on by Jack Swagger, right? I think it's Edge who eventually takes the title from Jack Swagger. But before Edge can do that, right, Jack Swagger has to defend the title against Randy Orton. And even though Jack Swagger was like a mid-carder, right, he beat, I believe, Randy Orton clean, right? So think about that. He beat Randy Orton clean, motherfucks. The logic is that, okay, Jack Swagger did win the title through like nefarious means and through means that are not respected. But he was good all along. Now, this is not ideal. The ideal thing would be to push Jack Swagger while he holds the Money in the Bank and then have him use it, right? That's the whole reason why you have 1 year. The whole point is, you have 1 year to cash this in, so we have 1 year to push you, right? That's why people like Kane cash in on the same night, because it's like, you don't need to explain Kane. Kane's a former champion. Kane's fucking Kane, right? And we're talking about the jobbers here. So with all that being said, same thing. The Miz, everybody else, they had to go and start sniffing around the main event scene, right? Miz, while he was Money in the Bank, he was like the leader of the Survivor Series team, which was in the main event of Survivor Series. Like, Miz was a ongoing upper mid-card, bordering on main event presence, right? And that's just not the case with people like Damian Priest. Damian Priest, like, before, this title run, it would not be shocking for Damian Priest to not be on a pay-per-view. It wouldn't be, right? Certainly, before he and Finn Balor became a tag team, like a real tag team, right? Damian Priest was not going to be on pay-per-views. That wasn't his job, cut. But with all that being said, thus far, the push has been disastrous. Damian Priest won the title through Money in the Bank. He can't defend against main event, also known as mid-card Jey Uso. And now he's getting mad at Judgment Day. So, like, they should just have him versus Finn and move on from there. I don't know what to tell you, motherfuckers. So far, it's a disaster. Cuckolds.